Mr. Lam?
Yes?
Remember me? Conway Thatcher? 2 years ago, my partner disappeared, and I was accused of murder.
Of course. Your partner was Fraser Dunlap. I found him in Bakersfield and brought him back. How's everything now?
Oh, he ran off again. With my wife and all my money. Thanks for bringing him back.
Oh. You all right, Mr. Lam?
Just hate to start off a new day with a punch in the jaw.
Well, that's the business. At least this time you bounced. Oh, a new client just walked in. He's with Mrs. Cool now.
Thanks.
That's right, Donald. And there's going to be a new client coming in every week. My name is Erle Stanley Gardner. I'm the author of the Lam and Cool books on which this television series will be based. I have written many murder mysteries. But two of my favorite characters have always been Donald Lam, the little thinking machine, and Bertha Cool, his big penny-pinching partner. To me, Billy Pearson is exactly right for the part of Donald, and Benay Venuta is just what I wanted as Bertha. The Cool and Lam books have been successful for many years. I hope their television series will be equally long-lived and successful, and now let's see Donald and Bertha in action.
When he dropped the knife.
Morning, Bertha.
Mr. Smith, my partner, Donald Lam.
How do you do?
I was just filling him in on our background.
Mr. Lam, I need expert help, and I need it fast.
We're listening.
20 years ago, a couple named Dr. and Mrs. James Lintig lived in Oakview. That's when the Lintigs broke up. He left Oakview, and later on, she left town. Your job is to find her, Mrs. Lintig, Mrs. Amelia Lintig.
And when we find her?
You're hired to dig up one answer. Did she remarry?
Why not ask Dr. Lintig? Wouldn't he know what happened to her?
No, he can't help you. Stay away from him.
200 in advance, and no check signed Mr. Smith.
Where do you think Mrs. Lintig could be?
I don't know. She left Oakview in 1937.
After 20 years, who cares if she remarried?
I'm paying you to answer my questions.
Where do we find you?
You don't. I'll be back here in 2 days. Time's running out.
On your way to Oakview, lover boy. This one's a cinch. Dig up the old newspapers, ask some questions, be back tomorrow with the answers. Take along a few sandwiches, sleep in the car, and it's clear profit.
Here you are, Mr. Lam. The 1935 file.
Thanks.
And the 34. You'll need it.
Who says so?
More background on the Lintig scandal.
Lintig? Never heard of Lintig.
20 years go by. Nobody even mentions the Lintigs. So she boozed it up with the boys while the doc slaved away. That was 20 years ago. All of a sudden, bam, it's a hot item. Any questions?
Yeah, where can you get a decent meal in this town?
Doc ran into the missus in a bar with a traveling man. They had a fight. He hit Dr. Lintig across the forehead with a beer bottle. 10 stitches.
This morning I had breakfast at the Bijou. Awful. Greasy spoon. They give you blotters instead of napkins.
The day before yesterday, a woman checked in. Nice looking, but tough. Still there. Room 5, Oakview Beach Motel. Scattered around the town for pictures of Amelia Lintig. I gave her an envelope to mail them in.
The Palestiner is worse. They fry everything, even the cantaloupe.
This woman in room 5. The railroad porter damaged her suitcase. She's burned up. Her name is Evaline Dell, but the initials on her suitcase are E.D.H.
You're a real gold mine of information, but for the wrong guy.
Girl gets tired of working on a small-town newspaper for her uncle. Maybe a girl would like to get a job in a big city, like L.A.
Big city? Try San Francisco. L.A. is just a village with gland trouble.
Okay, so go eat at Murphy's Diner. Order anything. It all comes out pot roast.
Thanks. Murphy's Diner.
My name is Dunton. Marion Dunton. Miss Dell is in room 5, Oakview Beach Motel. The next time you want to look uninterested, don't squint while you memorize.
Now look, I explained it to the station master. Why do I have to go through it again?
The railroad doesn't take his word for the damage to your luggage. We need a formal report, then you get your money.
For a lousy $75, you need the story of my life? Just send me a check.
Where?
L.A., Ferguson Arms on Figueroa.
You registered Evaline Dell, yet the suitcase shows EDH. What's the story?
My married name was Harris. I go by my maiden name, Dell. Been divorced 6 years.
Then the bag is 6 years old at least.
Why, you sneak. You trying to trap me?
No, but let's understand each other. Doesn't look like a $200 bag to me.
200? I said 75. What's the split?
100 your way, 100 mine.
For a fellow your size, you're loaded with larceny. That's nice.
What's a smart girl like you doing in Oakview?
Some creep in L.A. hired me to dig up pictures of his wife.
You a detective?
Well, let's put it this way. For a fast dollar, I can be hired.
In between times?
I'm a hostess at the Blue Cave, downtown L.A. You know, you're kind of cute. Too bad I have to make the 4 o'clock express.
Oh, there's the 7:30 local.
Yes, Bertha. I know this is long distance, but it's important.
Now check with the Medical Association. See where Doc Lintig transferred to in 1936.
Might involve real money.
Real money? Good boy. Now, get a cheap room, don't order a la carte, work fast, and cut out these long-distance calls. Hey, don't hang up on me.
Got a job for me?
Job? I sell insurance. Can't support myself.
You're a private detective. Donald Lam, Cool and Lam. We keep an L.A. telephone book. You're here on something about the Lintigs, and I'm declaring myself in.
Then declare yourself out.
Evaline Dell took the 7:30 local back to L.A.
I kissed her goodbye. Tell me something I don't know.
Okay. New possibility just checked into town. Mrs. Amelia Lintig.
Mrs. Lintig? She's back in Oakview?
Called our office, wants to give an interview. She'll be there in 20 minutes.
Who's going to talk to her?
You are? Mrs. Lintig's going to ask for you. I fixed it. You're our new boy reporter.
Thanks. What brings you back?
Just passing through, looking over old points of interest, old memories.
And old friends?
I'd love to see them. But a clumsy bellboy set my overnight bag right on top of my glasses. I couldn't call on anyone without a new pair. I couldn't tell Bessie from Clyde without my glasses.
You still call yourself Mrs. Lintig? Didn't a gorgeous woman like you ever remarry?
Oh, no. I was burned once. I loved Dr. Lintig. He didn't trust me. I couldn't marry again. Be sure you print one thing.
What's that?
Wherever he is, if he remarried, it isn't legal. You see, Dr. Lintig and I were never divorced. Good night, Mr. Lamb.
Oh, a committee of one to welcome you. Out of town.
No problem.
My friends tell me you're little but smart.
I had a chance to be tall and stupid. I blew it.
You came to Oakview to look for Mrs. Lintig. After a couple of hours, she just happens to fall in your lap. After 20 years.
Good lucky.
Too lucky. A guy like you would let it go at luck. You'd get nosy. This means don't.
I wake up on the beach outside of Oakview. My car is parked off the road. It takes both my hands to carry my aching head to the car.
I wonder if bandages are deductible.
Did you locate Dr. Lintig?
What's the difference? We were hired to find Mrs. Lintig. We found her. Case is closed.
Case is open. I've come up with a clinker. $200 entitles the client to the right answer.
All right, be stubborn. Medical Association says Dr. James Lintig had his name changed legally to Charles Alfmont. He's moved to Santa Carlotta.
Santa Carlotta? That's a wide-open little town. They've invented some new vices and kept all the old ones.
Mr. Smith is here.
Did you find Mrs. Lintig?
Yes, Doc. I talked to a woman calling herself Amelia Lintig last night in Oakview.
Oakview?
She dropped in to give a statement to the local press. She wanted to make it quite clear that she's still married to you.
Me? What are you talking about? My name is Smith.
Oh, Doc, we're on your side.
You're so used to being called doctor, you didn't even notice when Donald called you Doc.
My name is Smith. Now, look, I hired you to do a job. It's done. You were paid, and you're through.
Wait a minute. You can't go in there. I have to see you right away. Something terrible has happened. You. Donald, I saw him going into her apartment.
What are you talking about?
All right, Marion. Now, from the beginning.
You left Oakview in a hurry. I came here to get into the Lintig mess myself. I thought I could make myself useful enough to rate a job.
And where did you see him?
I called on Evaline Dell. You know, the girl with the damaged suitcase, the one you kissed goodbye.
I fail to see where this concerns me.
Stick around.
Evaline Dell's apartment. I saw him going in. I wanted to talk to her alone, so I headed to the nearest drugstore and a cup of coffee, gave him a half hour, and went back.
He was gone?
Yes. Evaline Dell was on the bed, strangled with a telephone cord.
Marion, while it's fresh in your mind, tell me everything you remember. Your impressions. Both trips.
First time, nothing. Door closed. A couple of milk bottles and a newspaper in front of it. The second time, the door was partially open. She was dead on the bed, wearing the negligee over her nightgown. I saw 2 cigarette butts in the ashtray. One with lipstick and one without.
Sure, that's the cincher. The dead woman's cigarette had lipstick, his didn't.
She couldn't have seen me. I wasn't there.
Donald, I know. It was this man.
First of all, you're Dr. Lintig. You had your name changed to Charles Alfmont, and you live in Santa Carlotta. You've still got the old scar on your forehead from that beer bottle in the Oakview saloon. We're about to report a murder to the police.
I am Dr. James Lintig.
Also, Charles Alfmont.
Our fee just jumped. Murder is more expensive than locating ex-wives.
I'm a respected citizen in Santa Carlotta. The town's rotten with graft and gambling, and I agreed to run for mayor to help clean it up.
But the Santa Carlotta gamblers dug up something on you back in Oakview. To smear you?
That's right. You see, when I left Oakview years ago, Mrs. Lintig was supposed to get the divorce on the grounds of my desertion. Now, the Santa Carlotta gamblers are threatening to print that she never divorced me.
And in the meantime, you remarried.
Yes, I remarried 9 years ago. I think you can see what that would do to my present marriage.
Where does Evaline Dell come in? She said you hired her to dig up photos of Mrs. Lintig.
That's an out-and-out lie. I never heard of Evaline Dell before last night. She phoned and she said she had some information for sale. When I got there this morning, she was dead. So I hurried over here to call you off the case. Mr. Smith was going to disappear.
Get back to the drugstore. Call the police and report the murder. Hurry up or they'll wonder why it took you so long.
Don't let them know you came to this office. Let them come up with their own questions.
And don't mention Dr. Lintig.
But I can't lie to the police. I'll be an accessory.
Nobody's asking you to lie. You're just too hysterical to remember the details. You'll calm down later on. Get going. Oh, and welcome to L.A. You stay out of sight right here. I need time to get the answers. Maybe you are innocent.
I think I should give myself up.
And concede the election? What a smear. The Lintig scandal and the Evaline murder. Nobody saw you at the scene of the crime except Marion. Maybe I'm prejudiced, but I'm betting the biggest gorilla you ever saw is the murderer.
Automatic.
I wanted somebody who'd been around long enough to remember Evaline Dell.
You're a cop?
No, just a guy who fell for Evaline.
I've never seen you before.
Last time I was in was 6 months ago. Me and Evaline got serious, but I was flat. She staked me $50.
You're lying, mister. Evaline wouldn't stake her mother to a cup of hot water.
Then how come I'm here to pay back the 50?
Are you married?
Maybe.
Don't get involved. Evaline is dead.
Auto accident?
Murder.
I'd like to give her 50 to a friend for flowers.
I'll take it.
I said a friend.
She didn't have any friends. Nearest to it was Flo. Flo Mortonson and Evaline had some kind of a business arrangement.
Where's Flo?
Mister, I'm doing a lot of talking for free. You gonna cause Flo trouble?
Maybe.
Good. I drove her home one night. She was so loaded she slugged the elevator boy. Said he was rocking the elevator. Catalina apartment on Logan.
Evaline told me she was being pestered by a big guy. Tough. 6'5", maybe 250. I mean big.
I've got nothing more to say, mister. My face ain't much, but it's all in one piece. Goodbye, mister.
Carmen run out on you?
Of course not. She's a great girl. Powdering her nose. Give her my regards.
What's the rush? Business?
Yeah.
What kind?
Used cars.
Oh, ain't that a coincidence? I need one.
Come down, South Crenshaw. Ask for Barney.
I need it right away. Let's talk a deal. Relax. I'll be back with a couple of beers. You little guys drive me nuts. You all think you're tough. Just couldn't keep your nose out of the action. Well, you found Flo, huh?
Yeah, Flo Mortonson, Evaline Dell's friend. She called herself Mrs. Lintig when I interviewed her in Oakview.
Yeah, they were right. You're little but smart.
And they are the Santa Carlotta crowd. Doc Lintig runs for reform mayor of Santa Carlotta, and they want to smear him. You dig up how Mrs. Lintig never divorced him. But the real Mrs. Lintig isn't around. So you send Flo Mortonson to take her place. You want it in the papers before the election.
Bright boy. Now tell me how we can send a phony to Oakview, where everybody knows the real Mrs. Lintig.
Sure. You rely on 20 years to cover the change. First, Evaline Dell digs up all the old pictures of the real Mrs. Lintig. Then Flo pretends to break her glasses, so she'll have an excuse for not calling on her friends.
Smart.
Smart enough to call the FBI when I got back from Oakview.
The FBI? Well, I've got to hand it to you. You run a good bluff.
You're a big man. I got you figured for being sharp. You're not sure whether I called the FBI or not. You wouldn't take a chance, as long as there's a doubt in your mind.
Don't go. I need the exercise.
the FBI will start digging around the whole Santa Carlotta stink. Your Santa Carlotta friends wouldn't like that.
Well, if the FBI comes to Santa Carlotta, they'll talk to me. I'm the law. Sergeant John Harbet, Vice Squad. Let's play handball, little man. You be the ball.
We can prove she tried to smear Dr. Lintig, but we can't connect her with the murder. So what's the good of rousting her?
I just want to scare her enough so that she phones Big John Harbet.
Suppose she does.
My pretty little telephone operator downstairs listens in and reports. I gave her $20. She'll be our witness against Harbert.
$20 of my hard-earned money.
What do you want? Oh, aren't you the reporter from Oakview?
That's right, Mrs. Lintig. And this is Bertha Cool from the Los Angeles Chronicle.
Oh, well, how did you know where to find me?
John Harbert said that you were staying with a friend, Flo Mortonson, and you might have an important news item for the paper.
Oh, John sent you. Well, come in. You a friend of John's?
We're very close. He's given me some hot leads from Santa Carlotta. He's got that town sewed up.
He sure has. Any idea what news item he wants from me?
Yes, something about your runaway husband living in Santa Carlotta under the name Alfmont.
And with a woman he introduces as his wife. But I'm the only legal Mrs. Lintig. Here's the payoff. That bigamist is running for mayor on a reform ticket.
Bertha'll give him the works. Page 1.
Election is day after tomorrow. So if you break the story tomorrow, he's a dead duck.
With no time to answer it.
Now, what about Evaline Dell?
What about who?
John Harbert said he hired her to dig up old pictures of you in Oakview. Somebody murdered her this morning.
John Harbet didn't tell you anything about Evaline Dell.
Not in so many words, but he dropped hints.
He never heard of Evaline Dell. Neither did I, except what I read in the papers.
I thought you knew her when you both worked as hostesses at the Blue Cave.
How did you know that? Who are you?
Cool and Lam.
Detective agency. You'll probably need us one of these days if you keep out of the cooler. You're the problem type.
Get out.
We know you're really Flo Mortonson. You posed as Mrs. Lintig to set up a smear.
Out.
Take it easy, girlie, unless you want to be the only bald-headed lady on the block.
Love from Flo. Mrs. Lintig's name is Amelia.
Okay. I'm Flo Mortonson. Yeah, we cooked up a deal to smear Doc Lintig.
You're a dirty, lousy blackmailer, ma'am.
I haven't done anything illegal. Sure, I posed as Mrs. Lintig so we could run Lintig out of the election. But now that isn't necessary.
Why not?
He's a murderer. He killed Evaline Dell. That won't get him many votes.
Doc Lintig never met the lady, but you did. You and John Harbet.
Sure. We paid Evaline Dell to get some information about Doc Lintig. She tried to collect from both sides. Pay from us, blackmail from him. So he strangled her. So, out, you two-bit junior G-men.
There were 2 cigarettes beside the body. Evaline Dell's and a man's. Big John Harbet was the man.
We've had 2 men watching the apartment. She hasn't gone out, he hasn't gone in. If she hasn't phoned, she isn't in touch.
Did you do what I told you to?
Yes, but I don't think the district attorney was convinced. He kept hammering at me that I was hiding something. And I'm such a terrible liar, I can't hold out much longer. Sooner or later, I'm going to tell him I saw the doc.
The district attorney just let you go? No strings, nothing?
Well, certainly.
And he's got a couple of men assigned to follow you.
They catch the 4 of us here together, down comes the boom.
How much longer do we have to wait for that call?
You know, Donald, you want to pin it on Harbet so badly. Maybe you're overlooking the other chances.
Bertha, I love you. Marion, head for your hotel room. At least one of the cops will follow you. I'll duck out and the other cop will follow me. Bertha, you head for Pershing Square in case there's a third. Doc, stick around 10 minutes. Make sure we've drawn up all the cops, then head home to Santa Carlotta.
What do I do there?
If I'm right, stay home. Forget that you ever heard of Evaline Dell and win the election. If I'm wrong, don't worry. The cops will be calling on you tomorrow morning. Okay, fire 1.
What about the phone?
I know why it didn't ring. Fire, too. Mrs. Mortonson. Mrs. Mortonson, Flo. Frida, get an ambulance. She tried to commit suicide.
Okay, Lam. I followed you from your office. It's murder and you're involved.
Ah, phooey. She's alive and the ambulance is on its way. So just stand there talking all you want to.
Don't get smart with me, little man. You're in trouble.
I was calling on my girlfriend Frida, the telephone operator downstairs. She couldn't get this apartment on the phone, so she asked me to look in. I found this lady. Attempted suicide.
Who says attempted suicide?
She does. And admits killing Evaline Dell.
Where's the rest of this note? At the bottom of the page, she started something about an election.
I guess that's as far as she got before the gas knocked her out. She won't be talking for a day or two. Gas makes you awfully sick.
Police headquarters.
Need me for anything else, officer? Or would you like to take solo credit for solving the Dell murder?
We don't want to reach you, Lam. Beat it. Jacobson reporting. Attempted suicide at Catalina apartment. Woman named...
The funny thing was that the real Mrs. Lintig divorced Doc a long time ago in South America. Never bothered to notify him. Gin.
Oh, I should have stayed in Oakview.
Here's the Santa Carlotta newspaper, Mrs. Cool. It will look very nice in our file.
Altamont elected mayor. Ex-cop Harbet indicted on graft charges.
What made you figure it was Flo Mortonson and not John Harbet?
Bertha said I was trying to make the facts fit Harbert. That's when I took another think. You saw a newspaper and milk bottle in front of Evaline Dell's apartment the first time you went there. She was wearing a nightgown. I suddenly realized it added up. She had just awakened. There wasn't any lipstick on one of the cigarette butts because she hadn't had time to put on any lipstick. The one without lipstick was hers.
And the one with lipstick was the other woman.
And if it was a woman, I remembered that Flo Mortonson said Doc Lintig was the murderer. Nobody except you saw him there unless she was there too, as the murderess.
Doc Lintig was very grateful to us for keeping his name out of the whole mess. He sent us a lovely bouquet of money.
Good. I'm taking Marion to dinner to celebrate.
I know a joint, 65-cent meals, real nice paper napkins. They got a jukebox next door. You can hear the music through the walls. It's on Pico.
We're going to dinner at Chasen's. Champagne. I'm bringing my own gypsy violinist. I'll charge you to expenses.